His dense molecular structure will make him strong.
Hey everybody, welcome to Let's Talk, and my name is John, and today here on the channel we are going to be talking about Superman the movie and its brand new 4K set that just came out from Warner Brothers. But before we dive into all that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, movie reviews, some tech and game reviews along the way, and now we do podcasts, if you are a fan of all of that, then this is the channel for you, and nothing helps this channel out more than by you simply liking this video and subscribing to the channel. So Warner Brothers has given us this brand new 4K box set featuring the first 4 Christopher Reeves Superman films. And today we're just going to talk about the first film in this box set, Superman the movie, that was released in 1978. It was directed by Richard Donner. It stars Christopher Reeves as Kal-El, Clark Kent, and Superman. And it also features Gene Hackman, Margot Kidder, and Ned Beatty. And this film, let me just say right off the top, I didn't grow up the biggest Superman fan. I was born in 1992, so I grew up really with the Tim Burton Batman movies and then the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman is my favorite superhero of all time. I never personally connected with Superman. He was never my hero. It really wasn't until Man of Steel came out that I really started to learn to appreciate Superman. I always felt like Superman was, the Boy Scout. He was always that stand-up guy. He doesn't operate in the gray area at all. He's just, that's it. Is either good or evil. He operates in the white. He's there. He stands for good. He stands for what the best of humanity can be. So I was just never the biggest fan of these movies growing up either. I did see these. I probably haven't seen them in this millennium. I probably haven't seen these easily since like 1999. I know my mom liked these movies when I was growing up, so she was a fan of them. So I knew about Christopher Reeves even before I actually even saw the movies because I had known that he got paralyzed, and that was a tragic event, and unfortunately then he would pass away at a pretty young age. But man, Christopher Reeves, he was born to play Superman. Nobody will ever be able to replicate what he does as Kal-El, Clark Kent, and Superman. The way he portrays this character, he portrays what Superman I think most people envision. He is this good-looking, strong man. He's got the most amazing voice, and he knows how to change it. Even though obviously we all know that Clark Kent and Superman are the same, but you know what? He does play those characters different enough that I can see why Margot Kidder, Lois Lane, would fall for that. Yeah, there is enough differences there for you to go, okay, I can see that these aren't the same guys, but that jawline should give it right away because, man, that thing is made of steel. So this film tells the origin story of Superman and of his planet, Krypton. This movie opens with Marlon Brando on Krypton. He's sentencing General Zod, basically, to death because the planet is about to explode. No one believes him, and he's got to get his son off this planet. He's going to stay, but he's going to send his son to Earth, and it takes about 3 years to get there, but we see this beautiful set design. That's one thing I really truly love about this movie is how they designed Krypton. I love the set design. I think it actually looks better than the design they went for with Man of Steel. More realistic in Man of Steel, obviously, new technology. That's a big issue with this movie is the technology of 1978 plays a big part of this. People still make fun of the flying scenes, but you got to take yourself out of that. But back in 1978, this was ahead of its time. This was new. This was big. Seeing Superman fly on screen, this isn't the first portrayal of Superman on screen. So seeing him fly was a huge deal. We're just spoiled nowadays. We critique every little thing about how these superheroes are portrayed on screen, but back in 1978, this was it. This is all we had was Superman. Until 1989, all we had was the Superman movies, so this was the best you were going to get, and I just think nowadays, you know what? We definitely take for granted all the great superhero films we have, even the bad ones. The technology is still better than what they had to work out here, but from a film standpoint, this is a pretty damn good film. Richard Donner knows how to make a good movie. He made Lethal Weapon and he made Scrooge, which are two of my personal favorite movies. So Richard Donner knows how to tell a compelling story, and this is a very compelling story. The origins of Superman, how he leaves Krypton, goes to Smallville, goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and learns to be Superman and what it means to be Superman. That first time you see him flying, it is epic. The first time you see him lift that car up to save his dad, that's another just classic scene. Another big thing about this movie that just helps it stand out still to this day is that John Williams score. John Williams, he just knows how to make a movie feel big. He was just killing it back then in the late 1970s. This movie came out 1 year after Star Wars, so He did this, then he did another Star Wars movie, he did the Indiana Jones movies. This is John Williams just firing on all cylinders, and it can be argued that the Superman theme is his best theme. It's not my personal favorite, but I mean, man, if you don't think of Superman when you hear that theme and it doesn't get you going, it makes you feel like you can save the world, I don't know what will. It's just one of the best themes in film history. And then another thing that stands out to me in this movie, I think is actually the shining stars from an acting standpoint, is Gene Hackman. Every single line that comes out of his mouth is hysterical. The way he's dealing with Otis, played by Ned Beatty, I just love their dynamic. I don't know why he doesn't fire Otis. Otis is an idiot and basically ruins every single plan that he has. And it's just no reason to keep him around. He doesn't help you in any single way. I guess they have some sort of bond, but, you know, Gene Hackman knows that he's that much smarter than them. Maybe he just likes to feel like the smartest guy in the room, but he is pretty damn intelligent, so I don't know why he just doesn't fire him. I love the line in this movie, too, where he's like, you know what the number 200 means to both of us? That's your weight and my IQ. Gene Hackman, I love him. Gene Hackman is never bad in any movie he's in, and he's perfect for this movie. I'm really glad that they got him to play Lex Luthor, and he is the ultimate Lex Luthor. The less said about Jesse Eisenberg and Kevin Spacey playing that role, the better. No one is going to play it better than him. So I would say definitely overall, I really enjoyed my time with this movie. It's not my favorite superhero movie. It's so far not my favorite Superman movie. I still think Man of Steel is my favorite. I have 3 more to watch in this collection. I have seen them all, but I think it's only fair that I give them a rewatch because, like I said, it's been at least 23 years since I've seen these movies. So for me to just say that Man of Steel is the best is unfair because that's looking at it through modern 2023 eyes. And I will admit, while I was watching this movie, it was hard for me not to think of Man of Steel and compare it in my brain, just because they both tell similar stories, and I just feel like Man of Steel is telling more of what a modern story tells, while this definitely does fit into the 1970s. It feels like a 1970s story. You know, that doesn't, even though the 1970s films started to get a little bit darker, this feels like something that the general public would have absolutely ate up back in the 1970s. And it's obvious because this movie cost $55 million to make, and it made $300 million at the box office. To say this was a mega hit back then would be an understatement. Everybody loves Superman, and I can see why. I did enjoy my time with this movie, even if you haven't seen Superman and you think, oh, it's going to be boring. You know, it's just try and go into it, taper your expectations, and just know what the movie is, and I really do think that you're going to enjoy your time with it. But the reason why we've all gathered here today is to talk about this brand new 4K Blu-ray box set that Warner Brothers has released for us. Now, this also came in a really nice steelbook collection that was only released by Amazon. I opted to get the slipcover edition because all of them are individually boxed inside of that, so I really do appreciate that. And one thing that I really am disappointed about is this exterior box. Now, I kind of expected this, so I can't be too disappointed, but it is that, like, you know, thin kind of plastic. Not the best paper stock here. This is definitely going to get worn over time in the corners. You know, it's not going to be the greatest thing. But I guess on the bright side, if it does get so worn out, at least you have them individually packaged so you could pull them out if you'd like to. Because they all do have individual box design. They all have their own box art on it. So that's actually pretty damn cool. I do appreciate that. So we're going to reach inside and we are going to pull out Superman the movie. So, as you can see, individual box design. Now, Superman the movie, this one was released in 2018 on 4K with HDR10, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision. It had all the works on it back then, and from what I can tell, this is the exact same scan that you had back in 2018. No differences. It doesn't say it's a new scan anywhere on here, and I was trying to find out if it is definitely the same scan. I couldn't find any definitive answer on that, but based on the reviews of it and the issues that I had with this disc, I would say it's definitely the same scan. You pop it open, you get your blue Blu-ray disc and your red 4K disc. And this whole set did come with a digital code, so if you are a fan of our digital code giveaway, that will be in this week's rotation, so make sure you come to Friday's video, and if you do win, you do get your shot at this 5-film collection, if you want it. We have other options as well. So yeah, you get your Blu-ray and your 4K, and those are previously released editions from Warner Brothers. The Blu-ray is the previous Blu-ray that they had released previously, and then that 4K is the previous 2018 4K, and from what I can tell, this is the only one that didn't receive any update whatsoever. So if you had those issues with the 2018 4K and you were hoping for an upgrade, unfortunately, from what I can tell, you are not going to get that here, and I did not think that this 4K was really that nice in my opinion. It had its moments, but for the most part I would say I was disappointed. Is it better than that Blu-ray? Yes, it's better than that Blu-ray, but not 100% better. There's certain scenes in this 4K that look identical to the Blu-ray. The first time we see Superman in his costume after his time in the Fortress of Solitude and he takes off, it looks identical on the Blu-ray and the 4K, and it doesn't even really live up to Blu-ray standards. There's a lot of grain in here, heavy grain that kind of dilutes the resolution of this, which is weird because the grain there is really there to help the resolution. Like if you wipe that clean, it kind of makes everything look just off, but they didn't do that here at all. But the problem is that grain just overwhelms a lot of scenes, especially the early scenes on Krypton where we see Marlon Brando and that beautiful set design that I love, but it's just such a grainy mess. You would have thought that they would have cleaned that up, and from what I was able to find, they actually wanted to leave this film alone as much as possible. The only thing that they really touched from the previous Blu-ray that they went out of their way to clean up was Superman's suit itself, because I guess it wasn't steady throughout. They wanted to make sure that those blues and reds and yellows all popped off your screen, and the suit does look great on your screen. It does pop off your screen, and it's definitely steady throughout, but the entire 4K disc is just not steady throughout. Unfortunately, it's just a very scene-to-scene basis. Some scenes look great. I thought the opening and closing credits, anytime they're flying through space, the blacks are deep, and that looked way better than the actual Blu-ray, which makes sense because that's all done on computer, so you can clean that up easily. But the film itself, it just doesn't look great. There are some artistic choices when it comes to the cinematography. When we first see him in Smallville and as he's growing up through his childhood, it's got this like white, dreamy, hazy look to it, which I actually personally like from a film choice, but it does look a little off because, again, the 4K isn't going to clean that up that great. So it really isn't until he gets to Metropolis after his time in the Fortress of Solitude that it really starts to look like a nice looking 4K. And again, with the cinematography, they kind of went with this dreamy, hazy look around all the white lights, so your eyes will always be drawn to that, and that was a choice, and I actually do kind of like that choice. But if you're looking at this from a technical standpoint, it's just not the best looking 4K you have ever seen, and it's just not going to look like that. Even comparing the Dolby Vision and the HDR10, I thought the Dolby Vision definitely cleaned up the grain more than the HDR. It looked worse, and with the HDR, that was definitely more comparable to the Blu-ray, so the Dolby Vision does do its work. Again, it's just not hitting any highs. And I would have liked them to go back in here and just do a rescan of this. I understand that they didn't want to make this movie look different, and that's one thing I've always had a problem with older 4Ks. It becomes a choice. Like, when do you make changes? Like, people remember these movies a certain way. I always say, you know what? With the new technology, try and make it look as good as you can. I get you have to keep certain things in there because people are going to be disappointed, but we will always have the previous editions that have been released. So if people aren't a fan of the new editions, I'll give you a perfect example. When it comes to the Three Colors trilogy that I got earlier this year from Criterion, I didn't like the choices they made on those 4Ks, but they came with the previous Blu-rays, and I can still watch those previous Blu-rays. I just can choose not to watch the 4Ks, but those Blu-rays are available to me. That is my personal choice. So I say, go for it. Take your shot. See if you can make these 4Ks look better. And it's just a little bit disappointing that a movie like this, it just didn't even meet my expectations. Certain scenes just look great. There's those scenes on the highway with Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor. Those scenes look great. You get some beautiful looking skin tones. It kind of actually reminded me of Smokey and the Bandit's 4K, which I think is one of the most underrated 4Ks we've ever gotten. So it's possible. It was here to do. I just don't think they wanted to do it, or the source material itself just didn't match it for every single scene. So maybe they did the best they could, but it just kind of feels like it was a choice that they are committed to. It's just choices that I personally don't enjoy. So unfortunately, I don't think from a visual standpoint this was a very good looking 4K. Now the audio, it does have a Dolby Atmos track, and that Dolby Atmos track is really good. It, again, with the John Williams score playing throughout, it really makes you feel the energy of this film. It was definitely giving my speakers a workout. It's not the greatest Dolby Atmos track. It is a 2018 track, so it's 5 years old. So we have definitely improved our technology on that, even in the short time of 5 years. But it's still a really good Dolby Atmos track. If you want to listen to the original soundtrack, that's on here as well. So even if you're one of those people who wants to listen to it in its classic form, you do have the option. And then as far as extras go, they are promoting them like there's a lot of extras. There are no extras on that 4K disc, but a commentary track. All of your extras on that Blu-ray disc, and it's all previously released extras. There is a making of documentary, and it's about 51 minutes long, but that came out, I believe, in 1979, I want to say. Like, you could just see Christopher Reeves is actually hosting this documentary, and man, what a good-looking guy. We really, man, some people just have all the luck in the world when it comes to looks and charm. You know, this guy was magnetic. That's why he was Superman. So anyway, he's hosting this documentary, and he's doing just a great job, but it's a very old documentary, and it does show you how they made the film, like the set design and everything like that. But I would have liked a new looking back documentary now, you know, maybe with some modern eyes, looking back on the film and what it did for film history, because this all came out even before the second film. But we didn't get that on here, and you know, there is some trailer spots, some TV spots. I think there's you get something with the original Superman played by George Reeves, so that's on here as well. So it's just nothing special, but they're promoting it on the box like it is. And unfortunately, again, that's one thing that Warner Brothers does, is they don't give us any new extras. They just give us the previous Blu-rays where they did release the extras that they had available. So that's a little bit disappointing, and I would have liked new extras, but unfortunately, we didn't get that here. So overall, one film into this 4K collection. I am going to review every single film individually, except for the Donner Cut and Superman 2. I'm going to review those together because I'm going to watch the Donner Cut this time, but I'll let you guys know how the disc is for Superman 2. So that'll be our next review, either tomorrow or Wednesday. But as far as this film goes, this 4K on its own, not including the packaging, is alright. I would have to give this just an average score of 6 out of 10. Excluding it from the entire package, we'll review the entire thing at the very end of this, but we're just here today to talk about Superman, the movie on 4K, and that one, it disappointed me from a visual standpoint. I can't say that it is the best. If you were to buy it on its own, it's not the greatest 4K, and I do think you'll be a little bit disappointed by it. But before we get out of here today, we have a little bit of business to clean up. It is Monday, and that means it's time for us to pick our two winners of the Digital Code giveaway. So on Friday's video, I asked you guys, what was your favorite movie since the year 2010, and what do you think the biggest Oscar snub in the history of the Academy Awards was? And we got plenty of great answers on there, and actually everybody was really giving some good, detailed answers. Matt pointed out to me, he's like, what questions did you ask this week? He's like, we're getting a lot of paragraph answers, and I said, I told him what I asked you guys, and he's like, oh, okay. So everyone seemed to be into this week's questions, which really made me happy because, again, as I always do, I got some great film recommendations, and we just had some good conversations in the comment section. So that was a lot of fun. So even if you guys don't win this giveaway, I just want to let you guys all know I really enjoyed the comments this week. We had a lot of fun answering them. I mean, most of them I answered, but I had a lot of fun talking with you guys in the comment section below. It's one thing that's the big reason to do the Digital Code giveaway. It's just to interact with you guys. I love it. But anyway, without further ado, let's spin this magic and see who our two lucky winners are.
First wheel spin. Rick Szechuan. Rick, we're going to remove your name. Spit again. And Joe Sonny.
Rick Szechuan and Joe Sonny. I believe Rick has won before. Joe, I'm not 100% sure of. I think this might be your first win, but I know you've been entering for a long time. So you guys know how this works. Reach out to us on either Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, or you can always reach us at our email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let us know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take it, then you have your choice of the digital code that you have seen on your screen before you today. And again, guys, thank you all so much for entering into the digital code giveaway. We really do appreciate all your support. If you want to keep helping this channel out, nothing helps this channel out more than you simply liking this video, subscribing to the channel, searching for us on all podcast services, giving us a 5-star rating there because it does help Apple to keep pushing that podcast. And then after you're done doing all of that, I want you guys to throw on your best Superman outfit, go out into those streets, fly around, and tell everyone about us. We'll be seeing you around.